I wasn't completely honest. So channel 7 is gonna go live in about Good. All right, well, welcome again. So grateful that y'all are giving up some of your time to come out this evening. This is the third time that we've done this in the last 24 hours. If you came last night, tonight will be a repeat. Very same presentation and soliciting some of the same feedback. My name is Jonathan Hayes. I'm the city manager, and on behalf of the mayor and our commissioners, we just want to welcome you here this evening. Also want to point out we do have County Commissioner Doug Crosby here. Both of the marinas in downtown Panama City falls into his district. And Commissioner, thank you for being here. We appreciate our working relationship with the county, great partners. So we're going to have a formal presentation by Amy Groves, one of the senior officials, senior project director for Dover Coal and the partners. And those are just the folks that we've hired to come alongside us and help us walk through this process with you, the community, and your feedback is so very helpful in this. So we're very grateful to Victor and his team and all the work that they've done for us, not just with this project, but also the neighborhood plans that we've really been working on for the last 6 or 7 years. So I do want to point out before we get into the formal part of the presentation, we do have plenty of water and coffee. So if you get tired, please help yourself, get caffeinated on behalf of the city. Again, we just look forward together, our time together tonight. And after the presentation, you have the opportunity to walk around and interact with folks from the Dover Coal team, as well as senior city officials, and some of our elected officials are here. And if you got a county issue, I'm sure Commissioner Crosby would love to talk to you about that as well. So thank you again, and I'll welcome now Miss Amy Groves.
Well, thank you, everybody. It's great to be here with you. And I was part of the team that was here in 2019 that worked on the downtown plan. So it's great to be back here in Panama City and working with you all. And I look forward to talking with you during the open house portion. But first, we're going to just go through a few slides and talk a bit about the opportunity we have for the downtown marina site. And that's the focus of yesterday and today. We've been listening and hearing what is the vision and what is the possibilities for the future of this site. So again, we're going to have just a short presentation, talk about some of the previous plans that have been done, and then we're going to have an open house. We're going to talk with you and kind of hear your ideas, and then we can talk about what the schedule and next steps. But I'm going to actually fast forward and tell you a little bit about that now. So we had a meeting here last night that was similar to this one, and we also had an open house at lunchtime today. And so this is the third session, and these are really listening sessions for us. We're wanting to hear from you, what's the community ideas, what are the priorities that we should be thinking about, and then we're going to take all that feedback and create some drawings and illustrations, and then come back in March or April to present those, and then hear again to hear if those ideas are on the right track. So we don't have a date for that quite yet, but it will be posted on the city website as soon as we do. And so, thinking about the marina site, we start by just thinking about how the city has changed over time. And so this is a historic map from 1917. And, you can see even at the earliest time, the idea of Harrison Avenue coming and terminating on the waterfront and, kind of setting up that really important space and the connection of the downtown to its waterfront. And what that looked like, and even in the earliest times, there was a mix of uses, a cafe out on the waterfront and out on the dock. So, although the appearance has changed, the idea of having a destination on the waterfront was, part of your city's history from the very beginning. And also having a gathering space. So here's the 4th of July, all the community came out to the city pier to have a celebration. So, I think rooted in your history is the idea of gathering at the waterfront, and so kind of creating spaces to support that. Over time, the physical form changed. Here's a postcard view from prior to the 1950s, where you can see, again, that this idea of having public spaces as well as businesses out on the waterfront. The current configuration was built in the 1950s. So here's a photo under construction. And a photo, right after it was built. And over time, a few more buildings were added, city buildings, and so this was a kind of an image that y'all might remember how the marina looked recently. And then lastly, we've got some photos from today. So obviously, some changes. The Civic Center building no longer there. The Hotel Indigo is there. So it's starting to change, starting to come into its next iteration. So tonight is about talking with you all about how can we complete this picture, and what else should be part of the marina site. So I'm going to start just by talking about some of the previous plans, because there could be some good ideas in here. We want to hear from you what ideas from the previous plans are still relevant and we should be thinking about. So I mentioned the downtown plan. So this was part of the recovery planning that was done. And you can see here the study area of that plan. So included downtown and the waterfront. So a little bit of a bigger canvas. But we did look at the marina site then. We had a public process called the Charrette. We had a week-long event, and I see some familiar faces that were part of those events. We did walking tours where we went out to look together at what the possibilities could be. We got together over base maps and sketched ideas. So a lot of the things that have been happening in the years since Harrison Avenue, the idea for the streetscapes and such, all kind of came from the brainstorming at these events. And what did those images look like? I grabbed here some of the pictures. You can see ideas for a public promenade along the waterfront. I thought that one quote was really interesting. Why are we inside when we're next to the water? So the idea was, let's have outdoor spaces. Take advantage of that amazing view of the waterfront. So then, during that process, we also had, a lot of meetings to hear from stakeholders, and actually had our closing presentation here in this room to review the ideas in progress. And out of that came 10 cornerstone ideas. And so I'm not going to go through all 10, but a few that are most relevant to the marina site I do want to talk about. And so, one of the biggest ideas was about waterfront access, that the community should be able to enjoy the waterfront. And so having a walkway along the waterfront edge, and we did some illustrations. So this was what the existing conditions looked like then. And we visualized, what it could be. There was talk about having a hotel and a waterfront restaurant at the time. So we did this visual. Of course, that's now been built. And then, this also visualized not only those buildings, but ideas for maybe there could be some commercial buildings that lined the end of Harrison Avenue, and that over time, maybe temporary smaller structures could grow into being more permanent mixed-use buildings. And so that was, part of the original vision, or the 2019 vision, and curious to hear from you all, if that is something that we could carry forward, or if you have ideas how to improve that. Of course, the big cornerstone was resilient infrastructure and building in a way that is going to make the city be more resilient to future storms. And so that means that for the public spaces, they could be designed in a way that they hold water, or street spaces could have what we call soil cells underneath that, kind of collects the stormwater and just, not create not only beautiful places, but places that are, again, more resilient. And the city can be more, more better set up for future. Of course, being connected, part of the plan, and the idea of a connected waterfront walkway all the way around the marina area was part of the downtown vision. And then finally, gathering places. So again, wanting to have places that supports community events and gathering. And we did an illustration that showed this idea of waterfront gathering areas and balanced with some mixed-use development on the site. And the blow-up of this board is actually just right over behind there. And so if you want to take a closer look, you can, after we're done with the presentation, get in closer and kind of see some of the ideas that were part of the plan. But we looked at precedents together. At the time, we looked at Charleston, South Carolina, and the big idea here was that they had waterfront spaces, but to be a memorable space. It doesn't have to be an enormous, vast green area, but having just these, like a small pavilion where you'd have the wedding ceremony, and kind of thinking about what types of spaces are best for the community. We're curious to hear your thoughts. Just a little bit of inspiration here. So in 2024, there was some additional concepts that were done. And so these were done by Wood & Partners, and they were looking at some ideas, again, just kind of presenting ideas to get the conversation started. And there were at least 6 of them done that showed different configurations for public spaces and amphitheaters of different sizes. I'm just going to click through them quickly so you can get an idea. And again, we have them printed on a board if you want to get close and read all the captions. But again, the idea here was, we know that we want to have public spaces on the waterfront. So could that be configured like? If there's going to be an amphitheater, how big could it be? How would that fit on the site, and such? So you can get in closer and look at that. I just want to mention that there are preliminary engineering drawings underway for the boat slips themselves. So, we're focused tonight on the uplands area and creating a vision for that. But this also underway is, improvements for the boat slips. And so we have folks from the city around the room. If you have questions about that, they can help answer, what the current status of that is. And then I also want to mention that we're working with a group from PFM. They're financial advisors, and they are doing a study that to just check on the financial viability of the options that are being explored. And so as part of that, they've started looking at case studies, so other marina sites throughout the state, and looking at how those were financed, and including what was the public costs, what private sector development contributed. And so these are also printed on a board, and we can help answer questions after the presentation. The examples include Boynton Beach, the city of Fort Pierce, Riviera Beach, and the city of Vero Beach. So again, just kind of looking at these peer communities and kind of understanding what components they had, what was part of their marina area, and just to kind of, again, help brainstorm tonight and think of what the possibilities are. Now, before I hand it over to Claire to talk about what we're going to do tonight, I do want to give you all just a brief recap of the past couple of days. So again, we had an event here last night, a very similar format where we had a presentation, and then we had these base maps around the room, and we got lots of feedback. So I would love for you all to go, and you can read each of these. Were written by your neighbors and other community members last night. So real curious for you all to tell us which ones you think are good ideas or what things haven't been thought of yet. There's an exercise right behind me that you all already got started with the red and green stickers, and again, just kind of getting that. Starting to think about what makes sense. And so we already have full sheets. We had to reprint for tonight to have space for more stickers. So again, curious to hear your thoughts. This afternoon, we had a similar session downstairs during lunchtime. So again, lots of interest, and I think we had some good participation and really great conversations so far. And then we have an exit survey that I see some of you have in your hands. And so we've been reading through them, very interested to see what folks have to say. And so I want to cover just a couple of the things that we've been hearing so far. Just thought you all might be interested. I want to just start out by saying this is not an exhaustive list because we're still reading. There's lots of surveys, but just wanted to give you a flavoring of some of the things that we've heard. So one is, there's been lots of comments about the boat ramp and public access, and wanting to make sure that there's public access for local community members. Secondly, idea of having a community hub with an attraction that brings people here. Last night we had a lot of people mention specifically an aquarium or a marine science center, but in general, other comments just talk about educational, family-friendly type of places that can be bring the family down to the waterfront. We've been getting a lot of different input on housing. So there were some very strong opinions about no housing, but then others cited positively, saying that it would be could have benefits for safety and financial viability, but then also often they limited that to say, limited housing or on upper floors only. And in talking to people about what I think there was just a concern about wanting to have public access to this public area. And so the ideas about having ground floor retail with upper floor residential seemed to be the ones that we got lots more green stickers and a lot more positive feedback on the surveys. So I think there was also just some concerns about things, wanting to make sure that the services and things that are out here are things that that local folks can enjoy. And then also wanting to have something that's unique and have the feeling of Panama City and authentic to that character. And finally, the last thing I would mention is that lots of comments are, very actually optimistic and express enthusiasm and excitement for the future. And some of the things that they're discussed were enjoying the sunsets and walking along the marina, and the expectation and hope that a thriving marina is going to bring life to the downtown district. So we've been enjoying reading all the comments and hope that you all keep them coming, because all of this feedback is going to feed into the drawings and illustrations that we're going to create and come back. And I actually have two more just quick slides just to give you a flavoring, again, some of those multiple choice questions. And we've been getting, you can see here, we've asked what types of public gathering spaces are needed. I thought this was interesting because there was not a very strong, we got across the board, I think everyone here was identified, from small everyday spaces to large flexible spaces, and quiet, open. So I think the answer is a variety of spaces. And then we asked about commercial uses, if they should serve locals or attract visitors and tourists, and the most answers were serving both. So I thought that was interesting. So again, keep all of your feedback coming. We're interested to hear it. And I'm going to turn it over to Claire to talk specifically about what we're going to do for the rest of the evening tonight.
Hello and good evening. I'm Claire Morris-Williams. I'm with Dover Coal, but I actually live in the county over, so this project is particularly near and dear to my heart, as I have family that live in Panama City and visit often. Tonight, we have a sign-in sheet, and we'd love to get your emails so that we can update you on when the next workshop will be, likely the end of March or beginning of April. And we've also got sign-in sheets, we've also got the survey that Amy mentioned. Not only do we want you to fill it out, but we also want you to return it to that table this evening so that we can continue to incorporate that into our designs as we go on. We have several stations that many of you have already seen, but the first two boards are just informational boards on what was done in 2019 with the vision plan. You'll see that a hotel was considered, but it wasn't the Hotel Indigo at the time. So there's things from that plan that have already happened, but there's also things from that plan that have not happened yet. And so our curiosity is what from that plan should still be brought forth into 2026, and what should maybe be left behind. What have we learned? There was a study in 2024 that Amy's presented, and again, what from that is still relevant, what do you want to bring forward? And then we've got 4 boards here. We've got the case studies from PFM, so if you really wanted to dig into the financial analysis of those, of what worked in other cities, we've got a board on those 4 case studies. And then station 5 through 8 are the visual preference surveys. So you get 3 green dots and 3 red dots for each board per person. The 3 green dots are your 3 favorite images on the screen that you'd love to see here, and the 3 red dots are for what you would not like to see here. Station 9 is a bunch of base maps of the site itself.
Can I ask you to clarify one thing? If people were with us last night, you want them to do it again, right? To do the red and green dot exercise the second time. And the reason I'm thinking that's the case is because we're going to limit the number of stickers in each case. So if you're one of the people who walked I'd like to encourage the people who did this exercise with the stickers yesterday to do it again tonight if they want. No, you don't have to resist that. But the rules are a little different now. We're asking you to identify the most important, most beloved idea or least beloved idea.
How many stickers did they get last time?
Well, I think people were grabbing them off the table and just.
Yeah. Well, if you were a scientist, maybe we learned from our test last night that we needed to reduce the amount of variables, right? Some people were following the rules that were written down, only voting once per image. Some people might have voted 6 times per image, which is not helpful.
Just limit to 6 stickers. I've been to these before.
Well, that is what was written, but maybe not stated last night. So today we're really serious about it. Yes. All right. So Station 9, the base maps. That is, if you didn't see something on these boards, or if you did see something on these boards that you really like, but you have a specific location you want to see, maybe an amphitheater or green space, that is where you can put a sticky note on the board of exactly where you'd like to see it. Or what percentage or what size of an amphitheater. And then Station 10, it's just out there, blank space. What have we not touched on that you would wish that we knew as the designers? And then we'll also be sharing this with city staff and the financial advisors as well. So anything that you think of, it's great to tell me, but it's better to write it down because I'm going to have a lot of conversations tonight. And I'm taking notes in my head mentally, but as I'm moving around, the best thing you can do is to write it down because then we have that in perpetuity so we know that when we go back home, we can integrate it into our plans. So if you can, write it down. And don't forget to turn in your survey. And again, we'll be back in March or April. So thank you for your time tonight and happy voting. We're going to be around the room, so you can ask questions to us as we're kind of at each board. Yeah, thank you.
Yep. So please, we'll have, again, the Dover Coal folks as well as senior city staff around, but happy to answer any questions. And we will continue to take feedback through the end of January. So if you've got folks that want to send it, you can email citymanager@panamacity.gov. And again, we'll continue to take feedback through the rest of the month. So again, please walk around and help yourself to some coffee and water. No.